No matter how much time we have on the game, we all make many of the same mistakes. With so many variables in Apex, it's hard to always make the right choice. But today, we're gonna focus on 10 common mistakes that every player makes. What's up guys, my name is Valued, and I guarantee today we're gonna go over mistakes that you personally make in-game and how to correct them. So stick with me and let's get right into it. The first mistake I want to touch on is one that we're all guilty of, including myself. Whether it's pubs or ranked, it can be tempting to chase after nearby fights that we see or hear in the distance. Whether we saw the two squads landing off spawn or we just heard them fighting, the right play is to go in third party, right? Well, not always. If you're struggling with reaching the later stages of the game, ranking up, or even just flat out winning fights, this is a bad way to go about finding your fights. If you're in pubs and want to push a fight because you want some action, hey, have right at it. But if we're looking at these types of plays objectively, most of the time it's a bad move. Not only are you coming into a fight that you don't have full info on, but by the time you get there, there's likely two other squads that also heard it and have a similar idea. Getting caught in these chain third parties is so common when you chase fights, and they almost always lead to your squad heading back to the lobby unless you pop off. So instead of just running towards signs of players, focus on getting inside the ring, getting well looted, and preparing for your fights. While you won't get as many fights, the fights you take this way will be much more organized and you'll find yourself winning a lot more of them. Not to mention you'll survive longer in the games, and who doesn't actually like getting a win in Apex? So staying mobile in fights is something we all know we should do, but how effectively you actually do it in fights is often going to determine the outcome. We all have those moments where we get surprised by an enemy or feel confident that we're gonna get it down and we neglect our movement. The most obvious example of this is strafing in fights, which we all need to do if we're ever getting shot at. Making even just one or two of those bullets miss can be the difference between you winning or losing that fight. But movement in fights can also be more drastic. Sometimes we have to understand that we're in a bad spot and quickly reposition. A good example of this is if you go to challenge an angle on an enemy, but they're ready for it and hit you with some early damage. While you can stick it out, strafing the best you can and hoping you don't get one clipped, oftentimes it's better to just slide back into cover and find another approach to the fight. Whether you reposition entirely or just shoulder for some cover, staying mobile during fights and reacting quickly to what the enemy does will have you winning so many more gunfights. And that tip segues nicely into the next mistake that so many players make: taking too much damage. Now, this sounds obvious, but you should always be prioritizing your health and shields. If you want to remain aggressive, capitalizing on opening in fights, and overall staying useful, you have to stay healthy. The same way you don't want to stay immobile and get insta-downed, you also don't want to be tanking grenades or getting constantly poked if you can help it. While you might not be getting downed, if you're cracked and healing behind cover, your enemy has the free reign to reposition, push you, or kill your squad mates, knowing that you can't help. So, being proactive with your position and staying mobile in fights like we talked about is a must to keep yourself healthy. And if you do take some damage, throw a cell or two in there when you have a chance, keeping yourself topped off and ready to go. Another mistake that players make all too often is not training their aim. And there's no better way to do just that than booting up AimLab and running some tasks specifically designed to improve your aim. Seriously, our aim holds all of us back, so stop letting your aim lose you fights or miss out on free kills. Hit up the link in the description and check out AimLab for free today. Another huge mistake a lot of us make is just being bad at looting. Look, finding loot and building loadouts is a skill in itself, and we all need to realize that to set ourselves up better in-game. From using suboptimal weapons to having too much ammo and not carrying grenades, there's a ton of depth to inventory management and building a good loadout. One massive mistake that I see a lot of players doing is taking double automatic weapons. Oftentimes it's, oh, I can't choose between a flatline and an R301, so why not both? While this might sound good on the surface, having to carry too much ammo for both your weapons is really gonna cut into your inventory space for heals and nades. And why would you want to have two weapons that excel at the same thing? Instead of loading up with two guns that you feel are strong, get one primary weapon that's good at medium to long range like we just mentioned, and then slot in a close range or a long range option depending on how you want to play. Snipers and shotties are very strong right now, and they make great secondaries, allowing you to have a weapon specialized at long and close range combat. They also don't need much ammo, and that's why they're so amazing. That way, you can make sure you have room for heals and nades. Knowing how to build strong loadouts quickly off spawn and never taking weapons that require the same attachments or ammo is often seen as a small part of the game. But I have seen so many situations, even in competitive Apex, where if the player had just built their loadout to fit the situation better, they would have came out on top. So guys, don't sleep on your looting efficiency and make sure that you're setting yourself up for success. While we talk a lot on this channel about avoiding hot drops, sometimes you're gonna drop to a location that isn't normally all that hot and see 4 squads headed your way. If you land with this many squads, your early game is gonna be hectic, and that's if you can manage to stay alive. Even if you felt like it was a great drop that would start you off perfectly for the game, alter course and find your squad a safer spot. Dynamic dropping is a must to keep you from throwing away your games needlessly, and you should always be scouting enemy drop spots on your way down and quickly determining if you need to alter course. But that being said, don't feel like you always have to give up your position. If you see there's only one other squad, a lot of the time it's better to commit to your drop, land together with your team, grab some guns, and defend your position. This is why Apex is so challenging, because these types of split-second decisions are what can decide your entire game. So, free look often, make your decision early, and commit to a play. I bet you guys never thought dropping was so stressful, did ya? Every one of us has been in a situation where we're feeling ourselves and go for a big flank or angle on an enemy team, just to get absolutely beamed. Then we're stuck, crawling there as we watch our teammates get 3v2'd until we get sent back to the lobby. Don't try to lie to me, I know we've all been there, and even I'm guilty of this. And we all need to stop making these solo plays so much. Now, don't get me wrong, there is a time and place for going for that big fight-winning play. But if we're doing it too early in a fight without our teammates ready to follow up, oftentimes it can make things worse. If you're gonna be making plays like this, especially in ranked, make sure you're pinging and communicating your plans to your teammates so they're there to help you. Oftentimes, these types of plays rely on your teammates to follow up, even if we're the one making the big impact. So, you should probably play the fight a little slower and play your life if you're not confident your teammates are ready to help. This next mistake is one that absolutely grinds my gears. Along the same lines of always looking for solo plays, it can be easy to tunnel on all kinds of stuff in Apex. From a cracked enemy about to get away to a play you have in your mind, you can tunnel on anything. Tunneling refers to when you over-focus on one thing and it causes you to block out other info and being adaptable. There's a ton going on in every game, so it's really easy to get fixated on a call that was made or an enemy that you almost downed. But it's important to not go rogue and try to not put yourself in dangerous situations because of this habit. Now guys, don't get me wrong, I'm guilty of this too. Nothing irritates me more than hitting big shots on someone just for them to get away with literally 1 HP. But oftentimes you'll die overextending to get that knock and get yourself knocked, and suddenly the fight is not in your favor and you feel pretty silly. So rather than forcing a play and tunneling in a situation, try to stay open-minded and fluid and always be ready to adapt your plans. While you want to use your Legend's abilities often to get the most use out of them, certain big abilities are best saved for specific situations. The most well-known example of this is Gibraltar's Bubble. It's always great to have Gibby's Bubble available if you're playing him. It has a punishing cooldown, and if a Gibby team is caught without their bubble up, they're losing out on a lot of defensive and offensive power. Good players will watch for certain cooldowns like Bubble, Wraith Portal, and Costigal to be down before making certain plays. So making sure you're getting a ton of value out of your abilities is key. If you're gonna use that bubble, make sure your team really needs it. You don't want to be that Gibby who never throws bubble and watches their team go down, but you also don't want to waste it. Now, this next tip is probably one of the most important for the Apex community, and that is to stop tilting. If you're flaming your teammates in comms or just getting upset with the game in general, not only are you not going to do well in that game, but you're also going to stop improving. At the end of the day, hopefully, we're all here to enjoy some Apex and have some fun. And keeping that enjoyment in your grind will help you stay self-critical and be overall a better teammate. I know you hate it when your teammates get knocked and then complain at you in game, so you shouldn't be doing that in turn. If you go down in a frustrating way, communicate what you did, enemy locations, and let your teammates do their best to clean it up. It's natural to get upset, but the most important thing is that you try to control the tilt. And last but not least, make sure that you're warming up your aim before hopping into matches. Everybody has their preference, and it's up to you how you want to do it. You have many options: the firing range, normals, or my favorite, aim lab. What's important is that you're ready to perform well mechanically when you're hopping into games that you're invested in. If you care about your RP or doing well in a pub that you're loading into, then you want to make sure you're ready to perform. So many players will get upset after losing their first fight or two when it's the first 20 minutes they've been on their setup all day. Rather than getting ahead of yourself and forcing yourself to get frustrated, try to dial yourself in mechanically before you play any matches that you're going to be invested in. And you want to be able to perform at your best right away in those games. So warming up will be your absolute best friend. Now guys, I gotta level with you. I, for one, actually make quite a few of these mistakes in my games. But what's important is that I'm actively trying to fix them. No matter how good we get, it's easy to fall back into bad habits or patterns, and doing this even for a moment can lead to us losing a game. So guys, let me know in the comment section below, which one of these mistakes are you trying to fix in your own gameplay? Make sure to sub for more content to help you finish out Season 11 strong. And anyway guys, as always, it's been your boy Valued, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.